The downpour fell in heavy torrents, fierce, relentless torrents that struck the earth with a wrath that echoed how Ethan was feeling deep within. He tugged the zipper up on his drenched jacket, peering through the windshield of his worn-out Ford as the wiper fought to keep pace. Each breath misted the glass. Each mile on this slick dirt road felt like another sign that he was barely piecing life together with tape and hope. His 7-year-old son, Noah, had dozed off in the back seat, gripping a half-eaten peanut butter sandwich like it was a treasure. Ethan glanced at him in the rearview mirror, heart tightening. That sandwich was their last bit of bread this week, and Ethan had given his share to his boy again. Just one more night at the shop tonight, he told himself. One more shift repairing a wealthy man's Ferrari while surviving on scraps. Maybe he could request an advance, though he loathed pleading. Maybe. His truck lurched as he hit the brakes hard. In the center of the road stood a battered blue pickup truck, hood raised, steam billowing fiercely, and beside it, soaked to the core, was a woman in a plaid shirt, jeans stained with mud, holding a flashlight and flailing her arms. Ethan's instincts took over. He grabbed his toolbox from the passenger seat and leaped out into the storm. "You all right?" Hiled over the deluge. The woman spun, startled. Her voice wavered but held strong. Trucks overheated. Battery light flashed before it quit. "Pop the hood and step back," Ethan said, moving swiftly. "This storm's only getting worse." She blinked. "You sure, mister?" he said, bending under the hood with skilled eyes. "I've fixed more trucks than I've had hot dinners this month." She fell quiet. Ethan didn't notice the costly boots hidden under the mud. He didn't see the gold band tucked beneath her glove. He didn't care that her plaid shirt, though crumpled and wet, was from a high-end brand. To him, she was just someone who needed aid. And he'd be damned if he let someone freeze out here while he still had hands and tools that functioned. 30 minutes later, Noah stirred in the back seat, wiping sleep from his eyes. The woman, who still hadn't shared her name, offered him a protein bar, an agental smile. Ethan caught it from the corner of his eye and felt a pang in his chest. People rarely gave them anything. "You from around here?" Ethan asked, tightening the final bolt and checking the oil levels. "Sort of," she said vaguely. Inherited some land a few miles away, was checking on the property. "Didn't expect the engine to fail." Ethan slammed the hood shut. "You're set to go. Just don't drive too fast until the fan starts. This thing's held together by wires and faith. How much do I owe you?" He chuckled, but it lacked warmth. "I didn't do it for cash. Just pass it on sometime." She stared at him, truly stared, like she'd never heard those words before. Then she glanced at his truck. "That's your son?" "Yeah, his name's Noah. Cute kid." She paused. "You didn't even ask who I was." Ethan wiped his oily hands on his jeans. "Didn't think it mattered. You needed help." "That's all I needed to know," she didn't treply. Instead, she stepped closer, looked him in the eye, and whispered, "You have no clue what you just did, do you?" Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Fixed a truck, helped a stranger, drove home in the rain. That's what I did." The woman smiled faintly. Then she climbed into her truck and drove off into the night. But not before noting Ethan's license plate and memorizing it. What Ethan didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that the woman he'd helped wasn't just any stranded traveler. She was Claire Lane, owner of Lane Farms International, and in 48 hours she would alter his life in a way no tool or screw ever could. Ethan thought the night would end with a bowl of instant ramen and a tepid shower. Nothing unusual. He pulled up to his run-down trailer at the edge of the forest, gravel crunching under his tires. The roof still leaked. The porch light flickered like it had a spirit of its own, but it was home. He carried Noah inside, the boy still half asleep on his shoulder, breathing gently. Every step through the cramped, creaky living room reminded Ethan how far he'd fallen since Claire, high sex, not the woman from the road, left him years ago. Odd how that name was resurfacing. He tucked Noah into bed, kissed his forehead, and stared at the peeling wallpaper in silence. Part of him was used to the quiet. Another part despised it. Yet something felt off, like the air was too still, like someone was watching, but he brushed it off. He had work tomorrow. The same grimy shop, the same broken engines, the same stingy clients who wouldn't tip for extra hours. And no matter how hard he worked, the bills still loomed like vultures circling above. Meanwhile, 20 miles away, Claire Lane sat in the back of a sleek black SUV parked outside a modern farmhouse she rarely used. She had changed out of her muddy clothes, her hair still damp from the storm. She stared at a laptop screen, her assistant's voice echoing through the speaker. "You asked for a background check. We found him. Name's Ethan Whitman, 33, single father. Wife left 7 years ago. He's been raising the kid alone since then. Works 3 jobs. Lives in a trailer near Hollow Creek." Claire leaned back, eyes narrowed. "And his son's name is Noah. Good kid, never been in trouble. Teachers say he's quiet, bright." She inhaled slowly. The memory of that boy, eyes sleepy but vivid, clutching that protein bar like it was gold, haunted her more than she expected. "Set up a meeting," Claire said. "A meeting?" Her assistant replied, surprised. "With the school and the landlord of that trailer park. Ma'am, what?" Claire's voice dropped. "Because that man helped me when I was at my lowest, and he didn't ask a damn thing in return. You think I'm just going to forget that?" 2 days later, Ethan pulled into the garage lot, only to find a black SUV already parked out front. A man in a suit stepped out and said the words that made Ethan's stomach sink. "You're Ethan Whitman." "Yeah, who's asking?" "Come with me." Ethan stiffened. "I've got work to do." "Not today. I got a kid to feed, man." "There's some court order?" "Because if it's about Claire, it's not that Claire," the man said, barely hiding a smirk. "Trust me, she's not suing you. She's inviting you." Ethan laughed out loud. "Inviting me to what? Small claims court?" The man didn't answer. He just opened the car door. They drove in silence. Ethan's mind raced. The man wasn't a cop, that much he was sure of, but there was something calculated in his movements, like he was used to high-stakes deals and carrying secrets. Finally, they pulled up in front of a farmhouse that looked like it belonged in a film. 2 horses grazed in the distance. A wraparound porch framed the front entrance, and there she was, Claire from the road, but now in an elegant green dress, arms crossed, eyes fierce. Ethan stepped out, utterly confused. "What is this?" Claire's expression softened as she approached him. "You helped me that night. You didn't know who I was. You didn't care. You gave your last bit of warmth and comfort without asking for anything." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. "So, what's this? Pity? Charity?" Her jaw tightened. "No, this is gratitude. Real gratitude." He glanced at the massive house, the pristine land, the damn horse trotting across the field like it owned the place. "I don't belong here," he muttered. "You do," she said firmly. "You just don't believe it yet." He turned to leave. "I didn't help you to get something," he said quietly. Claire stepped forward, her voice breaking slightly. "And that's why you deserve everything." Before he could reply, a tiny figure ran out from behind the SUV. "Daddy!" Noah shouted, running up and grabbing his leg. Ethan froze. "Noah, what are you doing here?" Claire knelt down and smiled gently at the boy. "Hi there, remember me?" Noah nodded, mouth full of surprise. "You gave me the snack." "I did, and I want to say thank you for sharing your dad with me that night." Ethan's throat tightened. "You brought my son here?" "I asked your neighbor to pick him up. I wanted this to be a family visit." His eyes narrowed. "What?" Claire met his gaze, serious and clear. "Because I want to offer you something, not just a job, not just a handout." "What then?" She took a breath. "I want to rebuild your life with you in control. I want to give your son a future. I want to do it the way you did for me. With kindness, not expectation." Ethan stood frozen. A dozen emotions churned inside him: confusion, gratitude, pride, suspicion, and something else he hadn't felt in years: hope. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He sat on the edge of the plush guest bed Claire had offered him and Noah, staring at his calloused hands like they held all the answers to his confusion. The walls were too quiet. No wind slipping through cracked windows. No creaky pipes or rats scratching behind thin drywall. This wasn't his world. The sheets were too soft. The air smelled like jasmine, not mildew. Noah had fallen asleep, wrapped in a blanket that probably cost more than their entire trailer. And yet Ethan couldn't rest. He'd spent years working 3 jobs, hiding overdue bills, choosing between gas and groceries, and now a woman he met in the rain was offering to what? hand him a new life on a silver platter. He didn't trust it. People didn't do things like this unless they wanted something back. The next morning, Ethan was up before dawn, dressed in his worn jeans and jacket, ready to leave before anyone else woke. He stepped onto the porch and froze. Claire was already there, sipping black coffee like she hadn't slept either. "You were going to sneak out, weren't you?" she asked, not turning to face him. Ethan sighed. "Didn't want to make a scene." She handed him a second mug. Too late. He didn't take it. "I don't belong here," he said. "You belong wherever people respect what you've fought through. And I think you've earned more respect than anyone I've ever met. Lady Claire, look, I'm a mechanic, a broke one. I've fixed beaters, scraped rent money, raised my boy alone since his mom ran off. I don't belong on a porch like this with someone who's got 100 acres and a net worth with too many zeros." Claire finally turned, her gaze steady. "And I'm a billionaire who nearly froze to death alone in a rainstorm because everyone in my world sees me as a number, not a human. That night I wasn't Claire Lane, CEO. I was just a scared woman with a broken truck. You didn't treat me like a project or a burden. You treated me like someone who mattered." Ethan swallowed hard. She stepped closer, her voice soft but firm. "I'm not offering charity. I'm offering partnership." He blinked. "Partnership?" "I want to reopen my grandfather's old repair barn on the south side of the ranch. It's been abandoned 4 years. I've been thinking about turning it into a community garage. Free vehicle repairs for struggling farmers, single parents, veterans, anyone stuck at the bottom." Ethan stared at her. "You're talking about building a garage for people who can't pay?" "Yeah, and you want me to run it?" Claire nodded. "Who else? You know struggle. You know kindness. And more importantly, you know cars better than anyone I've ever met." He was speechless. Then he laughed, a bitter, empty chuckle. "You don't even know me. What if I screw up?" Claire's reply was instant. "Then we'll fix it together." The next few weeks passed like a dream. The barn was gutted and rebuilt with fresh wood, steel tools, hydraulic lifts. Ethan oversaw every detail. Noah started school at the nearby district, for the first time wearing new shoes, carrying lunch in a proper box instead of a plastic bag. And Claire, she kept showing up, not as a boss, not as some distant benefactor, but as a friend. Sometimes she helped sand down the old doors. Other times, she just brought lemonade and stayed quiet, listening to Ethan talk about old Kaza, how Noah loved drawing dragons. They were growing closer, slowly, cautiously, like two people who'd been hurt too many times to rush anything. One night, under the glow of string lights strung across the new garage roof, Ethan said it aloud. "I don't know why you picked me." Claire looked up from the paintbrush in her hand. "Because you didn't ask for anything, and people like that, they deserve everything." But not everyone agreed. Word spread, and not everyone in town liked it. Ethan started noticing odd looks at the grocery store, whispers. Men who used to ignore him now glared, bitter with the assumption that he'd scored big by charming a billionaire. He heard the rumors. He'd played the sympathy card, tricked her, got lucky. It didn't help that Claire's board members weren't happy either. "This mechanic is your new project," one sneered during a video call. Claire held her jaw tight. "He's not a project. He's a partner. You're risking your name for someone who has nothing." "No," she said calmly. "I'm investing in someone who has everything money can't buy." But things were about to get darker. One morning, Ethan woke to find a letter taped to the shop's front door. "You don't belong here. Crawl back to the gutter you came from." He stood frozen, fist clenched, chest pounding. Noah was behind him. "Daddy, what's that?" Ethan quickly tore it down and shoved it in his pocket. Just someone who doesn't know any better. But it wasn't just one note. The next week his truck tires were slashed. Then Claire's assistant was followed home. And one night as Ethan walked Noah home from school, a black pickup slowed beside them. Windows down, laughter sharp and cruel. "Hey, grease monkey," one of Thiemann sneered. "Nice sugar mama you got. But she gets tired of hand-me-downs real fast." Ethan didn't say a word, but Noah saw the tightness in his father's jaw, the way his hand curled into a fist. Claire saw the change in him too. Less light, more shadows. "Ethan," she said one night as they sat under the stars. "Talk to me." "I'm fine," he muttered. "You're not." "I don't need you fixing me, Claire." She reached out. "I'm not trying to fix you. I'm trying to stand with you." He looked at her, something breaking behind his eyes. "Then don't leave." She didn't. The garage finally opened. Noah's Corner Garage, they called it. Claire insisted on naming it after Ethan's son. Locals showed up hesitantly at first, then word spread. Free repairs, no questions asked. Ethan's hands were always busy, grease under his nails, sweat on his brow. But for the first time, he smiled through the work. But kindness brings envy. The threats didn't stop, only now they got bolder. One morning, Ethan found spray paint across the garage wall. "Fraud, beggar, stay out," Claire called the sheriff. He just shrugged. "Boys will be boys. Maybe don't stir things up so much." Ethan's fist clenched. He wanted to protect Noah, protect Claire, but the hate was closing in. Then came a gut punch. Claire didn't show up for 2 days. No calls, no messages. Ethan called her assistant. "She's dealing with the board. They've demanded a break from public appearances, especially you." "What does that mean?" Ethan asked, his voice cold. "They think you're tarnishing her image. That she's losing credibility being seen with someone like you." The line went silent. 2 more days passed. Then came the real blow. An article hit the town newspaper. "Lane Empire in Crisis. Billionaire heiress under fire for lavish spending on mechanic romance." Ethan stared at it. Noah asked, "Why are people being mean again?" He had no answer. Later that night, Claire finally showed up. Her eyes looked different, tired, guarded. "I had to let the board feel in control," she said. "You vanished," Ethan replied. "I was trying to protect the bigger picture. Was I not part of that picture?" She stepped closer. "Of course you are." He turned away. "Feels like I'm just the tool you pull out when it looks good. That's not fair. And neither is dragging my son into something that gets him mocked at school." Silence. Then Claire whispered, "So what do you want?" Ethan exhaled, pain etched on his face. "I want to be enough without needing your money, without being your good deed." She looked shattered. He walked out. A full week passed. No texts, no calls. Ethan didn't go back to the ranch. He returned to fixing busted lawnmowers in his yard. The garage sat locked, its tools untouched. Noah asked once, "Are we going back to the place with the horses?" Ethan only shook his head. "Not right now, bud." Truth was, he missed her badly, but he was a man raised to survive storms, not asked to be saved from them. Then one morning, a knock at the door. Ethan opened it, and there she was, soaked in rain again. No driver, no SUV, just Claire holding a small box and trembling like that first night they met. "I didn't come to fix things with money," she said, voice raw. "I came because I miss you. Not your skills, not your hands, you." Ethan didn't speak. His eyes dropped to the box in her hands. She opened it slowly. Inside was a small handmade sign, "Whitman and Lane Garage, family-owned." She looked up. "I dissolved the board, bought back their shares, lost a few investors, don't care. I'd rather lose billions than lose the one person who ever saw me when I wasn't wearing a brand name." Ethan stepped back, stunned. "You gave me back my humanity," she whispered. "Let me give you the same." Tears welled in his eyes. "You really gave it all up?" She nodded. "Everything except my heart. That's still yours." He didn't say anything. Instead, he pulled her in and hugged her like a man finally letting go of every wall he'd ever built. Months later, the garage reopened, bigger, busier, better, but this time with a new sign over the door. "Whitman and Lane Garage." Built on kindness, locals started coming not just for repairs, but to witness what real redemption looked like. And every time a struggling farmer rolled in, or a single mom cried at the bill that read 020 paid in full, Ethan would smile. Because he'd learned something powerful. Sometimes fixing a stranger's truck in the rain can end up fixing 2 broken hearts. And giving kindness can be the spark that changes everything.